Okay, let's kind of start small on how we might see these stagger screens being used. So in this position, or in this particular play right here, I have a 5 out being demonstrated in which we have the ball on the left side of the floor. So as we can see, we have all 5 players outside of the 3-point line. So we talk so much about continuous motion offense in the 5 out type of setting, right? All 5 players outside of the perimeter, outside of the 3-point line. So let's talk about a way that we can use a stagger screen in a 5 out motion offense. Now, real quick, I want to talk about, obviously we know our 5 out motion offense where we have our cutters and we have stuff like that. But I would like to say that that can be a little bit robotic on the offensive end. So instead of just focusing on this standard 5 out play or 5 out system that we want to run so much, what we should be focusing on with the 5 out is spacing, getting all 5 players outside of the 3-point line. But more important than that, getting paint touches. Because when you get paint touches, you're forcing the defense to collapse, right, which will allow one of your players outside of the 3-point line then to get open. And that's what these stagger screens do, right? That's how they kind of incorporate into a 5 out motion offense, right, is we're getting a paint touch and we're allowing our shooters to get open. So in this particular situation, we're going to have our point guard come down the side of the floor. It can be the left or the right side. It doesn't really matter too much. But in this situation, we're going to have them come down on the left side. Now, what we're going to have right here is number 3 and number 2 set these stagger screens. So number 3 is going to come set that first screen here for number 1. They're going to set it. And as that happens, number 2 is going to follow, and they're going to set another screen. Right after number 1 comes off that first screen, number 2 is going to come in here and set another screen. So we have 2 screens being set back to back. Now, typically what you'll see in a stagger screen like this, an on-ball stagger screen, is one person setting that stagger screen will pop, and one person setting that stagger screen, the screener will roll. So in this situation, let's have number 3 pop outside the 3-point line, and after number 2 sets that screen, let's have number 2 roll to the basket. So we have a roll right here, a pick and roll between number 1 and number 2. Right? But we also have number 3 who extended to pop, so we can kick it out to them for a shot if needed. If the defense is collapsed right here and leaves off of number 4 and number 5, that's fine because we're playing a 5 out, which means these 2 are likely shooters. So we can either get a swing pass over here. If we want to be super risky, get a swing pass over here, which I probably wouldn't recommend at this point, but we do have an option if we want to go to the left side here with our roller. Okay, so let's take a look at that one more time. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy. Maybe this time let's go on the right side of the floor. Okay, we'll switch around the positions a little bit. We have that first screen being set right here. Right, this is our first screen being set. We're coming off that. We're going to have our second screen being set right here. Number 2 is going to pop, and number 3 is going to roll. Now, that's a simple way that we can use stagger screens, but let's take a look at how some NBA teams have been using stagger screens. Specifically in this particular situation, let's look at the Miami Heat and how they have been using stagger screens to score on the offensive end. So let's look at this first example here of the Miami Heat offense. Now, as we'll see right here, we have Jimmy Butler bringing up the basketball. And the first thing you'll notice is that no players start inside of the key. Like we talked about, some coaches like to play a horn set where you have players, kind of at the elbows of the key. Some coaches like to play, 4 out, 1 in, where you have, somebody kind of floating around the elbow to the dunker spot. But you'll see the Miami Heat often have all players outside the 3-point line, even sometimes floating between the half-court mark and the 3-point line. So let's take a look at it here as we have Jimmy Butler bring up the basketball. Again, you'll see even as they go into their set, they still have everybody above that 3-point line. Now, as you'll see here to start, we're going to get our first stagger screen like we talked about, right? If you see right now, and again, this is from last season, or maybe 2 seasons ago, but you'll see Gabe Vincent here setting that first screen, followed by Bam Adebayo, followed by Kyle Lowry. So you see right now, all 3 of these players are at the 3-point line. They're going to set that initial screen here for Jimmy Butler. So that first screen is being set, and as you'll see, Bam Adebayo steps in immediately for the second screen. And then you'll actually see Kyle Lowry step in again for the third screen, right? So we had 3 screens being set there for the same player in Jimmy Butler. Now, as you'll see, what happens next is 2 players will pop and 1 player will roll. So you'll see Gabe Vincent here and Kyle Lowry both pop, and you'll see Bam Adebayo roll. But as he rolls, he actually then sets a screen on one of the players, defenders who popped, and that's Gabe Vincent. So as Bam Adebayo rolls, you'll see he sets another screen there, allowing Gabe Vincent to be open for the 3-point shot. Unfortunately, they didn't make this one, but again, we're seeing those stagger screens, stagger screens, stagger screens, right? Let's take another look at it. So we have Jimmy Butler here. Again, all players start outside the three-point line. That's boom, 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 three screens in a row for the ball. And you'll see as Bam Adebayo rolls right here, he's setting a screen on Gabe Vincent's defender. So Gabe Vincent, who pops, can be wide open for that three-point shot. Hold on one quick second, coaches. Before you go anywhere, I've got a couple free resources waiting for you from the Basketball Coaches Academy that'll take your practices and take your teams to the next level. First off, grab your complete guide to the continuous motion offense, which breaks down exactly how to teach your players to play the game, not just run plays. You'll learn what continuous motion offense really means, proven drills to build it, and how to run a motion offense continuously. We have lots of different things in this guide. We have video demonstrations, we have diagrams, we have descriptions, everything that you would need. If you want your athletes to develop real basketball IQ, this is the starting point. The second item that I have for you is the 5 must-have out-of-bounds plays for all ages. These are game-tested sets that you can run with youth or high school teams. We have baseline out of bounds, we have sideline out of bounds, all free for you. They're simple to teach, tough to guard, and each play includes clear diagrams and coaching points so your team stops wasting possessions. And lastly, I have the practice plan template. And this printable practice plan template is the exact layout that I use to organize and plan every practice session. So you can plug in your warm-ups, skill blocks, team drills, and scrimmage notes so you can walk into every gym with a clear plan and zero guesswork. So I have these 3 free items for you. You can claim them using the link in the description. They'll be sent to you right away. Enjoy. Let's now take a look at that particular play on our coach's clipboard in case you want to implement this with any of your teams. So as we'll see right here, we have number 1 with the basketball. Number 1 is our point guard. Even though Jimmy Butler doesn't, traditionally play a point guard spot in this situation, he was playing that point guard spot as the ball handler. Now, as we see here, we have our 3 stagger screen players being outside of the three-point line. Now, if you really think about this, it does make sense because the Miami Heat actually, once you get into the play, it is a very kind of simple, 5-out motion offense. They just start it with these stagger screens and kind of cause a little bit of confusion. So right here we have number 3 setting that first initial screen, right? Number 1 has the basketball. They're coming off that screen. Then number 5 steps in for a second screen, right? And number 2 steps in for the third screen, right? And we're usually about right here. It didn't seem like he was going, much further than that. Now, as that happened, this player who's number 3, he rolled wide to the three-point line, or rather he popped wide to the three-point line, not rolled, whereas number 5 then rolled to the basket, right? Number 2 then also popped wide to the three-point line. So number 5 came to about right here. Now, as this was happening, number 1 was, getting their paint touch inside the paint, but number 5 then set another screen right here as they rolled on the defender of number 3, which left number 3 wide open. Number 1, which was Jimmy Butler, kicked the ball over to number 3, and number 3 had a wide open three-point shot. Now, in this next example, which I believe comes from about 2020, it looks like this is in the bubble season, you'll see the exact same thing happen, multiple stagger screens, except this time it's off of the basketball. So you'll see multiple players now screen for somebody off the basketball. And instead of just having them come off the screen for a little three-point shot, they actually have multiple players then cut inside of the key. So let's take a look. So as we'll see right now, we have Jimmy Butler with the basketball again, which kind of seems like a common theme here. Although the Miami Heat do have a lot of point guards, at the time they had, I believe Tyler Hero was their main point guard. Throughout the last few years, they had Kyle Lowry. Now it seems like they've gone back to Tyler Hero again. They've had Terry Rozier. I believe they still have him. But they still tend to start their offense with the basketball in Jimmy Butler's hands. And that's what we'll see again here. So you'll see Jimmy Butler on the wing, and he's clearly looking in this direction as that is where the play is being set. And you'll look here at Kelly Olynyk. I'm not sure who this player number 28 is, but both of those players, we'll see a stagger screen being set here, right? So we see our first stagger screen being set by Kelly Olynyk, our second screen being set by number 28, and then you immediately have 2 rolls to the basket which will result in an open layup here for number 28. All right, let's take a look at this again. Jimmy Butler with the basketball, we get those two stagger screens, and both of them cut to the key, which results in a wide open layup. Let's take a look at this now on our clipboard. So as we see, we had the ball here on the wing in Jimmy Butler's hands, right? As that's happening, we have our two stagger screens being set here by number 2 and number 5, which are being set for number 1 in this situation, and then number 4 is a backup at the three-point line, which appears to be for, some sort of drive and kick if that situation does happen. With the ball over here, we have number 2 setting that first screen for number 1. Right, as that's happening, number 1 is coming up here. And then we have number 5 setting that second stagger screen for number 1. So number 1 is coming off of those screens, and they're cutting hard to the basket, but so is number 5. Number 5 is going to roll off of that screen. Now, number 3 was able to hit number 1 for that pass. And then as that happened, number 5 was still in the continuation of rolling, that they got another easy pass there for an easy, wide open layup.